So, welcome everyone. Good morning, and good evening, good night, wherever you are. And see, many years before, when I knew about Shri Bagavath Ayya, I was so excited, and I thought, I want to introduce him to this entire world. But then, over a decade or so, I got a little bit wiser, and now I think it's time for the world to get introduced to him. Such a great genius who has updated the whole um, secular spirituality field. I call it secular spirituality because every one of us are in the search of like who we are and what it is about us, discovery. And so we are evolutionarily at a stage where we don't maybe need any more middlemen or any more detours to get to know ourselves. So secular is like how we all have our whole entire world within our iPhone or whatever gadget we have. Same way, now we can connect to our own spiritual side or whatever the enlightenment or liberation we seek for, just by being wherever we are without having to go around the globe and without having to do very miserable, tapas or difficult practices. We can just stay in our own comfort of our own home, in our own couch, and just get to understand. So that way, he is a big, he has brought a big upgrade to this spiritual world, and also in the general, what do you call it? In the general practical solution for all human sufferings. So that's about Shri Bagavath. If I want to, give a small introduction. So I know Babulal sir and Muru is already familiar with that. And so we are welcoming Ray. Is it okay to call you Ray? Yeah. So he's joining from Virginia. And so I think it will be more meaningful for you to kind of give us a context, like what is your school of thought, or what got you interested in this other than Sham helping show up here?
I think we've, that over time have gone through several gurus and satsangs and listened to so-called gurus, and have seen some of the transitions in just how the quietening of mind and just the just recognizing our thoughts and the awareness, how much it helps, right? But I think the practice is basically the kind of practice that I've been doing for the last 2-3 years is consistently chanting, right? And the chant that we do is Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And it is somehow has helped me get through a lot of stuff in my life, but there are some remaining obstacles. When I go to the satsang, I see some people who see a guru as a god. Some people worship the guru, right? And some people see him as a friend. So I see him as a friend. I see him as a teacher, right? So other people have different concepts. Then I also see a lot of people pretending that they are spiritual. Because when you're spiritual, there's no right or wrong definition of spiritual. So I had all these definitions in my head. So one of the definitions was that, hey, if you're spiritual, you should just let go of your body. You should relax. And then I started gaining weight in the first year a lot. When I started meditating, I put on a lot of weight because I was not exercising, right? And then I also learned that through my whole journey of spirituality, that if there's anything like, oh, you're spiritual, why do you need an expensive car, or why do you need a nice watch? Somebody spiritual should be content. But my thing is that if everything is yours in this universe and you are the universe, why can't you try everything? It was made for us to consume. It was made for us to have. So that concept have recently changed, for which my wife has not been coping well because she's thinking that I'm going crazy because I want to keep buying things and trying things. So I've become more of a yes person. The areas that I struggle with is the traumas of the mind. We have done some pattern studies myself, not under my guru's thing, but I've seen the pattern of mind and how the mind starts. So the way it goes, it's a cycle. It's a predetermined cycle how my mind operates. So when I'll become very spiritual, one in the nature, and then all of a sudden one little trigger comes, right? So and that trigger activates the other trigger, and it's almost like a dynamo effect, where all these
Domino.
domino, sorry, that's the word. Yeah, correct. The domino effect. And then all of a sudden, like so many insecurities spike up, right? And then so many bad habits come towards itself. So then I was having this discussion with Sham, and that's when he talked about, the Bagavath Ayya mission. And then I actually read the book on YouTube. I think somebody narrated the whole book, which was nice.
What
It's a
was
rare thing.
what was the book you read?
I think that's the only book that's in English.
Okay. No, there are plenty. I
Oh,
was
there are plenty. Okay, so the one he shared was on YouTube, and I kept going through it, and somebody
what's
was
the
actually
title?
I don't
I
remember,
mean,
but
don't bother. Okay,
I can check. Yeah,
all right. Yeah.
but it's basically just the it's just the concept that he talked about was that you are no different from being spiritual. You already are spiritual. So that thought kind of hit me very hardly, because we kind of are sold this idea that spirituality is such a difficult thing to attain. It is, and you'll become like a god man. You'll grow a beard, and then all of a sudden miracles will happen. Krishna will come dance in front of you, and all those things happen. I've seen miracles happen. Some are illusions of the mind, and some actually happens. I've seen gurus bring apples from the air. I've seen those things, and those happens. But I don't know. So that all that concept is still playing around. So in between, I started reading a lot, and now I'm at a point that I've stopped. I don't read anything spiritual. I completely stopped because I just go by the feeling. I just sit and I just feel.
Great. Great. Thank you. Thank you for being so open and sharing your experiences. So if I may, so you said you read the book, and so what did it shift for you?
I think the whole concept of that, it's not a difficult thing. I think the way he was prescribing in the book, it sort of relates to the awareness that spirituality already exists, right? So we're already a spiritual human being, and rightly so. And all the stuff that we put on our head, the thoughts and everything else, is just a culmination of how our brain has been conditioned all throughout the years of your thoughts and experiences, and that becomes a hindrance somehow in realizing the so-called spirituality. And with that makes us also very vulnerable human beings, right? So I feel a lot of people take advantage of that. Like in India, you'll see like people will come and say Radha, 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 Radha. But how can you say that without realizing anything? Right? Some realization has to be there to connect to the word, right? You're just basically that's just a hypnotic kind of like chanting without anything. So I think over time that helped me a little bit. Uh, but so Sham kind of explained that how some of the things that we talked about. It's been about 6 months now since I read the book, but I remember we talked about it. It was really good. It was kind of a sad. I remember telling Sham that I felt depressed after finishing that book.
Yeah.
And that was the first reaction I had. That I felt like kind of frustrated that why am I doing all this? Running around, why am I reading all these books? I used to read 20 some books of Osho. I threw them all away, literally, because I'm just like, whatever. It's his perception of spirituality, right? I need to have my own experience. I mean, I agree with every guru and all have gone their ways, but I'm trying to find my own way.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm. So that's so awesome. So let me so see, all the session would be a live session, right? So it will be organic, and we will take it from uh, what people bring to the table. So today you brought something that's like from where you come. Mostly it sounds like correct me if I'm wrong. So mostly it sounds like bhakti marga. So you have been in the chanting, and of course, Radha Radha says it does give some miracles, but not all the time and all that. So
Yeah.
a small clarification and distinction about the different paths of Bhakti Marga and Jnana Marga. So the understanding way, the intellectual way, and then the Bhakti. Bhakti is devotion. So devotion is something, see, we are emotional beings. We have intelligence also. We have intellect also.
Mhm.
So in a nutshell, if you are in Bhakti Yoga, you completely let the emotions take over, and you are not there to measure, decide, distinguish, or like try to understand and all. Like the buddhi has to take off backseat.
Mhm.
So if you see anybody in the previous, whether it's Radha even, or any devotees who have attained enlightenment and liberation in Bhakti Yoga,
Mhm.
they just blindfoldly trust. And it's not even blindfold, like that's all they got, and they're so taken by, obsessed by that emotion. And so there is no place for buddhi. They are not
Yeah.
comparing, they are not checking in, oh, when is the ETA, when is the end date, when is the timeline by which I'm going to do this or that. So they will do anything which will look crazy for people like us who are looking from outside. But
Mhm.
then when they do something, yes, they can move the mountains. But then that is the nuance of it, or the technicality of it.
Mhm.
There's absolutely no buddhi. And that's great. And then there is this intellectual way where, because we are human beings, and because we are beings who are always feeling, we are able to agree according to what our intellect decides. We are constantly measuring. We have all like got so much intellect that's really sharpened these days. So we cannot be told what to do. We are going to analyze, and even we do analyze paralysis for everything. And then we need to understand what it is and comprehend and rationalize. So, but then these emotions are very primitive, and they will take over immediately. I mean, they are not listening to what the buddhi says, because the emotions are being different. So when there is a conflict, then we become emotional beings. Then we say, oh my Lord, save me. We need
Mhm.
somebody to take care of us. You see, we are sometimes very hypocritic in the sense, okay, this is what is very clear, and I have to rationalize. So I have to understand, like this, like unless I understand what it is, unless I know what is true, I cannot simply, go behind all that. Either you have to step into this side, so where you're going behind buddhi completely, and not feeling differently whenever the emotions become, high or low. And that is the path of understanding, the intellectual way. And then there is an so that's the whole difference, where honestly, at this age, we really cannot pretend to be in the bhakti yoga, just because we don't even trust ourselves, we don't trust our family members, we don't, and let alone some invisible god, right? So as long as things are happening favorably to us, we think, oh, it's all my bhakti that's making it happen, it's miraculous, and God is by my side. And then when we are getting into the suffering, and then we think, oh my God, why me? Why did you choose, to give me the suffering? And then we don't we don't trust and go in that path. So just to clarify that, this is the nuance and the technicality of bhakti yoga and the jnana marga. So now it is our choice. At least we know, at least I appreciate really that your honesty, that that yes, I know that's working, but I'm not able to go all in on that.
Yeah.
So this is what it is, and so let me understand my own truth, then it will be my truth, right? So
Yeah.
there's a nuance between those two. And
And then the other thing is, sorry to interrupt, but like the other thing is, where does it stop?
Mhm,
Right. And then the bhakti yoga, oh, you have to do this for 1008 days.
mhm.
You have to do this for 108 times. And you have to wake up in the morning and have the same time to do this.
See
So
again, let me see again. See, if you're in Bhakti Yoga, you wouldn't care. You will do whether it's 108 times, 1008 times, or till your lifelong. This question will not arise. Just the very fact that this question is arised, we need to be honest within ourselves that that's not the way for us.
yeah.
As simple as that. That's it. So now, so let me share a simple story which all of you might know. And I remember this was the first story I ever heard as a little child. And
Mhm.
I think it has a great consequence of where, it brought so far. So there was this woodcutter who goes into the forest with his old rusty axe. It is made of iron. Um, Probably all of you might have heard this story. So he goes and cuts the tree and then he sells those wood and then he makes a living out of it. So every day, this is what is his regular routine. So one day he happened to cut a tree that was growing, kind of overlooking a river. And when he was cutting, accidentally, the axe fell into the water. So this poor woodcutter doesn't know swimming, so he couldn't go and find his axe. So he was making, prayers to the Vanadevata to find his axe to bring it back because that means his livelihood. And so there is a devata that appears, and then it brings a silver axe and shows him, "This is yours. See, I found your axe." He says, "No, no, no, that's not mine." And then again she goes diving in and brings a gold axe. Is it yours? Is this yours? Come on, have it. He says, "No, no, that's not mine." Of course he knows what is silver, what is gold, but he's like, "No, that's not what I'm looking for." And then she dives again and then she brings in a diamond axe, very sparkly. And then the woodcutter's eyes go so sparkly, but he says, "Wow, that's so beautiful. I've never seen something like that in my life, but sorry, that's not mine as well." So then, "Are you sure you can have them? So what if it's not the axe that's yours?" And he says, "No, no, no, I want my axe. That's what is functional for me, because that's what I want for a living." And of course, we might think that he's naive, maybe, but he wanted what was rightfully his. And so the Devata went diving in again, and then she brought in the old rusty iron axe and said, "Is this yours?" And then he says, "Yes, that's mine. Thank you so much. You did this thing for me." And he was so happy to get the iron axe. And then what blew my mind as a little girl was this devata will also say, so like, "Oh my God, I appreciate your honesty." That's the first time I'm learning that word, like honesty. And what is that? And you did not see, I didn't know what you had, of course. So when I had given those other things, you could have said those were yours, but you didn't say. And you were so honest, and you were only asking what was rightfully yours. And so I'm so happy. And then end of the story, she gives away all the four axes to him. So he's happy, he takes it gratefully. But then what blew my mind is like, oh my God, yes, he got all the four axes just because he stick to his truth. So that stayed with me forever. And I knew that honesty is something so valuable and so precious that it has this innate capacity to bring in everything else that exists in the world. So, as Bagavath Ayya says, he only gives two simple definition. He says, "Satyam vada," like be the truth. "Dharmam chara," do what is moral. So there are only two states of being, right? Like we are being something and we do something in this world. So the doing is like, what do we be? We be the truth. We are the truth. So Satyam, so Satyam Vada Dharmam Chara. That's what he says, and that's a simple nutshell. But then where do we do what? So again, in Bhagavad Path, we have this classification, also coming back to your context phrase. So in the internal world or the psychological world, in psychological landscape, it's the truth that prevails, truth that liberates. And then in the external world or the practical worldly matters, what we do is whatever that is moral, whatever we want things, for us, we do, and whatever we don't want somebody to do for us, we don't do. For example, we don't hurt someone just because we don't like to be hurt, and things like that. So it's very simple and clearly defined. So he segregates these two paths. So now coming back to that story, it's more interesting because, see, one thing is, this woodcutter knew exactly what he wanted, and of course he was honest about it. So the same way, I think sometimes when I think about Buddha's life, of course he's great because he landed into the realization by himself. He found the truth himself. But then I think some way his game was a little bit preset to be easy. See, he did not have to strive for money, power, wealth, great women, and all the luxuries in life. He came to this earth. I think you all know the story of Gautama Buddha. So he was a prince. So he came with all this. But then even having all that, because of having all that, and even after having all that, he knew there was something missing. So he went after that, right? But then for example, the silver axe is something like, say, our health, very good body, the image, or whatever, feeling great within ourselves. And then the gold axe is like what we all aspire in relationships, people around us. And then the diamond axe would be something like career success, power, fame, and all that. So we are all in search of one of those things, whether it's great health, whatever is missing in our life is what we are searching, and we are searching for it crazily. So if we grew up in poverty, we search for great wealth. If we grew up when somebody is so much, authoritative over us, we strive for freedom in terms of power. And then when we have suffered very ill health and disease when growing up, then we give importance for all those things. But then eventually, that's what we are thinking we are chasing. But then eventually what we are really chasing after is, like, what would happen after I get good health? I would feel peaceful within myself. I will like myself. And what would happen when I have good relationship? I would feel loved. And when I'm in that place, I feel I like the version of myself. When I'm in harmony with the other beings, when I'm appreciated, when I'm validated. And what after I have all the fame and wealth, what does that give me? It gives me a sense of like, I'm enough and I like myself. So basically, underlying all these different aspects we are searching, what we are really searching for is ourselves, the better version of ourselves, to be in peace with ourselves. But then if you find a diseased person, or someone who is not wealthy, or someone who's in a toxic relationship, if you go say, no, you know what, you're not searching all these things, what you're really searching for is yourself, so don't search for all those things, go to go to a peaceful place, meditate, find yourself, and then you will have everything. Nobody's going to sign up for that. And it is very it's very fair, because only after we get all those things we might even think, oh, what I'm looking for is not in this. Like, yeah, of course, when we have all the wealth, for some time we feel so fulfilled and all that, and then immediately we start seeking what's next, right? There is something that's still not being fulfilled, or some void. So when somebody is like in their great work success or career success, and then they go like, no, something is missing. Or when you have a great family and relationship, but still, something else is missing. So we get to that point only, after we have all these things fulfilled. But in practicality, if we see, is it possible for us to fulfill all our buckets and then get to the point like how Buddha got to? Maybe not, right? Because we still don't know what we are searching for. So what I'm trying to say is, at least the woodcutter knew what he wanted, but most of us are searching for something crazily without even knowing what we want, and that's not our fault as well. So when Buddha, when someone asks like Buddha, like, you're enlightened, why don't you just enlighten a big mass of people? And he says, okay, he selects 10 disciples and asks them to go out and bring me few people who are searching for enlightenment. And then all of them come back and they say, not not even few people are looking for that. But then Buddha says, see, everybody is looking for that, but they just don't know what they're looking for, but they're looking for in the name of other things. So that is where the caveat comes. Yes, we want all these materialistic things. We cannot live without it practically. But then we also have to confront the fact that those are not the things that is really giving us the fulfillment also. So now that is when we kind of make our mind to go after, so we go after finding what we want, like the self-discovery process happens. And that's what happened to Ray as well. So you start seeking, you want to find out what is there, what is out there, and all that. So then when we go into that journey, that's what Buddha went as well. And he started having more and more spiritual experiences. But then I think what really got him the enlightenment was he was being honest. He was very honest. He knew that all these experiences are great, but they're really not useful. They are not the truth. So because he confronts, he was being honest about these are not the things that he was looking for. Of course, he did not find what he was looking for, but he at least knew what all was not what was he was looking for. So then at one point he just gives up everything, all the efforts, and then he sits down, and then it is said that he got awakened. So the context of all the story and basically weaving this into the Bhagavad path and bringing out all these things is, I welcome whoever is in this meeting and whoever would be coming into this journey. So my job here is just to bring that unconscious need or unconscious searching we are all looking for, because 80% of the game is that it's not our fault. We just don't know what we are looking for, but we are looking for in so many other things. So the first clarification is just to bring back that unconscious searching, like whatever we are searching for is just a mirror of ourselves, a version of ourselves that we want to feel. And that is what is being the unconscious seeking. And what will actually get each and every one of us and liberate is the truth. So we got to be really honest and daring to let go of the When I say let go, I'm not saying giving up relationship or materialistic pleasures or something. Letting go of just pretending that, as though that fulfillment is what we are seeking for. So we got to get really honest about, um, is this experience, for example, is this spiritual experience is really something I'm after? And I think everybody has that innate wisdom to know, whether that is what we are seeking or not. So the same thing happened with so to give a context about Bagavath Ayya, he was not someone who went into spirituality to save the world. um, he is from a very humble beginnings, and as a small boy, I even wonder how his name was Bhagavat, after a big leader, because that's not very usual to name a little kid, and especially from such a South Indian place, to give that name. So anyway, he had this thing, like he wanted to do something great, impactful for the society, some help to the society, and then he chose spirituality to actually get himself qualified to be able to serve the world better, to make himself better disciplined or whatever. So that's how he takes spirituality as a tool, and then he goes into this journey, and he does so many different practices for over 40 years. And so now we come to a place where, when we are all in the seeking path, we start to experience so many different experiences, and they're all miracles, they're great and everything. But then when we're really honest, the checkpoint is, okay, I'm being so great, blissful when I'm chanting, but then after that, all that thing is kind of diluted. Or like when I come into the real practical world, when I talk with my wife or husband or with my boss, I don't know where all that calmness goes away. I'm not able to, make myself so polite and calm all the time. I mean, we try to. So when we get honest that all those experiences, really, I'm not able to make anything stay and make anything practically useful for me, then only then we are thrown into the next level. But of course, it is necessary for us to do all those effortful homeworks, just to know all those experiences. And then end of the day, it's our honesty and authenticity that will put us into the next orbit, which is like, yes, all these experiences are great, but none of them are staying with me, and none of them are practically making me, you know, practically making my life easy, or practically making me money, or whatever that is. So now tuning ourselves is not helpful. We all know that fact. But then what to do? So the same way, Bagavath Ayya also traveled that path, but miraculously what happened was, he, as everyone thinks, he just extending that experience of that blissfulness, we all aspire, maybe if we are able to make it permanent, then we got it. But then we all fail, and then we think that it's our problem. It's something, maybe we are not following what the gurus have clearly stated, or maybe we feel inferior, maybe we feel incapable, and we fault ourselves, thinking that it's our fault that we are not able to make it permanent, all those experiences. And so we put more effort, we spend more time, we we switch gurus, we switch path, we spend more, all of our resources, and really getting into tuning in more and more. But then luckily for Bagavath Ayya, what happened was, he got that blissful consciousness, and it was not even that it was going away, but it stayed with him. It stayed with him for so long that his body was literally not able to take it. So then he started thinking, like wondering, oh my God, all these years we tried to make some experience stay with us, and now I'm able to make it stay with me. But that's not really useful. So that's where authenticity comes into play, where he could have pretended that, with that bliss consciousness, I'm telling you, you could have built a $1 billion, multi-billion-dollar industry. because that's what people are craving for. But he clearly knew, just like Buddha, that this is not what the right, the correct thing is. And he was also able to see the evidence because his body was collapsing and was not able to take anything up. And then he decides, okay, this is what I was after for. I worked so effortfully, I achieved it, I'm having it now. And then he daringly, willingly, he lets go of all that thing. So for many of us, you said, remember you said you felt that frustration after reading a book. He spent 40 years doing all these things. Of course, for all the spiritual seekers, if we have been sincere in our practices, the truth, of course, the truth will liberate us. But before that, there will be a deep dip, and it's very depressing, because all that we have gathered, we come to an understanding that it's of no use. And we all have to make a choice where it's time to let go. And I know there was Anup in this meeting. I think he's dropped off. He has been teaching worldwide audience for many, many years. And he knew that those siddhis, whatever he had, was not serving him. And that is not what he was after. So whoever comes into this path are already kind of pre-qualified, in the sense that we have been sincere in our seeking. We have gathered so much experiences. It is all true. But then we also have come to a point where that is not what we are seeking after. But then, of course, we don't know where to go from here. But what I want to amplify and encourage and welcome you to the fact that, congratulations, you have been courageous and you've been honest within yourself, and not pretending to, and settle for something, even though those amazing experiences are true. So now what he does is he decides, it's a decision. It's clearly an intellectual decision. He decides to let go of all that. But even though he decides, of course, the experience stays with him for a little bit, and then, he gets out of that. And now what happens is he decides to be with himself, like not face the world all through different spiritual methods or modalities and this and that, but rather unarmed, open-handedly, this is my life. And I'm willing to embrace it as it is, without my shields, without my arms, and without without any weapons and methodologies and tricks and all those things. It's almost like becoming naked in front of life and letting go of all that we have accumulated. I'm not talking in terms of materialistic thing, but in terms of the spiritual path, all those things that we have gathered to keep ourselves feel protected, to keep ourselves feel that calmness, that peacefulness, that divineness, or whatever that is. And all those experiences, willing to let go and opening our arms, and that is surrender. All the accumulated experiences, we are still talking about the internal hoarding that we have. Of course, it led us many places. Of course, it has made us a bit noble or better or whatever that is. But then we also come to an honest understanding where that's not going to serve us anymore if we want to take the last and final step to the truth. And so he lets go of all that and he embraces life as it is. And that's what makes it even more interesting, because now even small little things becomes like very big suffering. Because so far we all, we were all behind all these beautiful experiences, or so that's what is happening to you when you shared also, Ray, like all this trauma and all this pattern, everything is opening up. And now we are even more sensitive to even smallest disturbance. So now there is nowhere to hide behind. There's nowhere to run. And this exactly happened in JK's life also. He had so much experiences. He was in control of like how to get the prediction and all that. But then even beyond all that, he had to lose his own brother. All the predictions were wrong. All the gods he trusted and everything, like it was like as though the whole entire thing betrayed and gave up. And he didn't know what else to do other than just embracing the misfortune of losing his brother and taking that grief and accepting that painful thing as it is. So when he was able to confront and open and embrace himself to life as it is, that's when he actually got enlightened, or when he found that there's nothing else to be done. And that's when he got awakened also. So Ayya also comes to that place, but then he feels everything is like even more sensitive, and it's even small things is hurting more. But then he decides, it's an intellectual decision, he decides to stay put with that without having to run behind and hide behind any of these tools, modalities, whatever it is, experiences or whatever. And then he gets what he was searching for all those 40 years. So what we are seeing in all these things is, for some reason, whether we were seeking something great or we were running away from our pain, we popped into the spiritual world, and then we started our seeking. And then after we gone through that journey and we get honest about like, this is not what we are ultimately looking for, and then we are put into the orbit of confronting ourselves, confronting our life as it is. And then we are not trying doing anything anymore, just like how you threw away all those books. So it's not anything disrespectful, it's not anything bad. So what got us here will not get us there. So at that point, slowly things starts opening up. So now what Ayya sees is, so what just happened? So he gives himself 6 months, just like how Buddha sat quietly and looked into his own mind. And then they're finding this beautiful, or I don't even want to exaggerate, they're just finding that mind doesn't like to be controlled, and mind need not be controlled, and mind has its own flow. And surprisingly, when it is flowing by ourselves, when we are not like when we are not the driver and we are not controlling, actually the mind is not fond of anything, or the mind is not rejecting anything. So there is this natural flow of mind where there is no desire to hold on to any experience, and there is also no kind of like pushing away anything that's coming up, that might be heavy or something. So both Buddha and Ayya, both Buddha and Bhagavat finds the mechanical flow of mind where, without having to do anything, or instead of that, like when we stop doing anything to control our mind, actually it's already in a liberated state. Meaning, liberated meaning it's already in a flow state, meaning it's not holding on to anything that's pleasurable, or it's not pushing away anything that's painful, because everything is happening in such a small fraction of a second. Everything is so transient, and it's just keep on flowing. So that's the nature of emotions, that's the natural way, and that's what they find out. And then now Buddha calls it nirvana state and all that, and then it becomes a practice and it gets complicated, but then now it's revolutionized. So Ayya takes some deliberate effort to simplify this, because it's already there. It's there for Ray, it's there for Peter, it's there for Muru, it's there for Hema, for Babulalaya and Padmanabh, and it's there for everybody. That's why initially when we started, I said it's a secular spirituality. So now this is where we will pause. And although the truth is, yes, the mind is in its own flow state, but we are not experiencing it like that, right? So still it's not our truth. So what do we do about it? How do we understand why we are not able to experience that natural flow if it is there? And because nobody wants us to stop it, but then something is happening that we are not able to see what Buddha saw or what Ayya saw. So then we will get into the nuances and really find out our own truth. And then we don't need any more middlemen. And of course, we can have all those other three axes once we kind of get what we need. So just, the truth will liberate itself. We don't need any other thing in between. So coming to that, I will pause this. So if you have any questions, you can answer. Yes, Ray, you can get in touch with WhatsApp, definitely, and we can discuss on this.
Hema, I got just 2 points to make.
Yes, please.
One is there are some 7 audio books of Ayya, and I have passed on the link to you.
Yeah, I'm going to share all the resources in the WhatsApp group for the books, for the PDF, for the audiobooks, everything. So I'm going to share.
That audiobooks are, especially audiobooks is there,
Okay.
which I have shared it now to you. It will be useful for the people, audio form.
Definitely.
Okay. That will be helpful for, particularly in audio form. Okay.
Yes. I will do that immediately after I get off.
The book number 1 and 2, Don't Delay Enlightenment, and Shumash Your Shadows are the very important book in this. I think you can add value to the title of the books. Okay. And second point, which Ayya tells, of course, which we have also mentioned, all the experiences, spiritual experiences, the bliss consciousness, etc., are only the bodily experiences. If body is not there, there is no experiences. This has to be underlined.
Yeah. But actually, today we were just setting the context, and slowly we will go into unwinding in the further sessions, Baba.
Okay, fine. That's it. This is the point which because we were talking about spiritual experiences and all these things, but those spiritual experiences are without a body. It is of no meaning in that.
Yeah. We did not get into the technicality at all.
Okay, fine. No, fine.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for your valid inputs. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. And yeah, feel free to drop off the meeting, Ray, and we can continue in the next session. So Peter, Kalai Selvi, and Padmanabhan also dropped off. Okay, do you? So far, was there anything you would like to add or ask or discuss? We have like few more minutes. Peter, you can unmute. Yeah, you can unmute and speak if you may, please. Would you like to add something, ask something? Is it Peter or Kalaisal?
Okay, Peter here, Peter.
Okay. Hi, Peter. Yeah, where are you logging from?
Hello.
Hello. Yeah. You from Malaysia, right? Peter, can you hear us?
Hello. Yeah, because the lines are.
I can't hear you. We can't hear you. Okay. If
Not
you,
too clear.
what is that?
Not clear, not clear. The voice is not clear. The line is not clear.
Okay, okay. Where are you logging from?
Now
Can you try with your...
between Malaysia and Singapore
Yeah,
border.
Okay,
yeah. I think we had spoken a time. Yeah. So unless you have any questions or you want to discuss something, we can. Muru, would you like to add any pointers? Anything?
No, Hema. I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay, thank you all for attending today's session, and whoever is listening to this YouTube when through YouTube, if you'd like to join, these sessions happen on Thursdays, 10:30 morning EST and around 8 o'clock Indian time. So the intention is to bridge the whole entire world across the globe. The non-Tamil speaking seekers and people who need clarity to the Bhagavad path. And I'm so honored to be a bridge to do that. And we have so many other teachers who are also in the mission that is aiming for this. And we would be having English boot camp that's coming up in Salem, Tamil Nadu, India. So once we have more details about that, I would be sharing in the group. And you're welcome to join the WhatsApp group where you will get the Zoom link, and I'll be sharing all the resources that's available, the books, audiobooks, physical and digital content that's available. All right. Thank you all for coming to this satsang, and thank you. See you next week.
Thank you.
Bye.